Hello and welcome to the Lindsay and Learning channel with content that is designed to help English teachers find balance in their lives and teaching practice. I'm Lindsay, a veteran National Board Certified high school English teacher and founder of Lindsay and Learning. I am passionate about helping other English teachers just like you, so I write on my website and create these videos to share practical feedback strategies, student-centered learning ideas, and many lessons you can share with your students. You'll find all that here and more, so please don't be a stranger. Be sure to like this video and don't forget to hit subscribe and the bell notification so that you can have a steady stream of English teacher inspiration and ideas. And lastly, I hope that you talk back to me after you watch the video by leaving a comment. In this video, we are going to talk about connotation versus denotation in literature and in life, because this is a core reading and writing skill that we target in our English classrooms. Do you find yourself struggling to teach students how to choose better words for their writing? Do they misunderstand what they read because they get stuck on a word or a turn of phrase? Diction is a powerful tool, but many emerging readers and writers fail to understand the nuance of language in order to use this tool to their full advantage. Teaching students the definition of connotation in literature can help. When students read The Great Gatsby never fail, some are absolutely stumped by the line, "I hope she'll be a fool." That's the best thing a girl can be in this world, a beautiful little fool. Invariably, a student will shoot their hand up and express outrage that Daisy would have the audacity to say that she wants her daughter to be a fool. What kind of mother wants their kid to be foolish? Of course, Daisy doesn't really want poor little Pammy to grow up to be a fool. It's simply a misunderstanding of connotation in literature. Difficulty in understanding the difference between connotative and denotative language is pretty common for students. The definition of denotation in literature is the objective meaning of a word, the dictionary definition. An author uses a word with its explicit meaning intended to be understood by their audience. In other words, whatever the definition of the word would be when you look it up in the dictionary, that's the denotative meaning of that word. You might also help your students think about it as denotation equals dictionary equals definition. All of them start with D. The definition of connotation in literature is the implied meaning of a word. Generally, when the connotative meaning of a word is used, the author is appealing to the emotional association a reader would have with that word. This emotional association is usually derived from the context in which the word is used or the reader's experiences. Connotation in literature is suggestive and requires inferential reading skills to understand. Connotation in literature falls into three broad categories. It can be positive when the feelings or ideas associated with a particular word are intended to create a positive response in the reader. It can be negative when the feelings or ideas associated with a particular word are intended to create a negative response in the reader, or it can be neutral. Usually, neutral words take on certain meanings based on the reader's experiences and the context in which the word was used. Drilling down a little bit deeper, it's not enough to say that a word has a positive, negative, or neutral connotation. It's all about what the reader associates with a particular word or phrase. To help my students make this more concrete, I encourage them to think of emotions, things, and abstract ideas that they associate with the word or phrase, and then to look for patterns and connections between these connotations in order to interpret the significance of the word in relation to the author's purpose. Let's play a bit of a connotation game, shall we? I'm going to give you 5 words with the same denotation, and you are going to decide how to rank them in order from the most positive to the most negative, considering their connotations. Here we go. We've got thief, bandit, kleptomaniac, pirate, and Robin Hood. How did you rank these words? Likely your choice involved the associations you had for each word. Robin Hood for me is the most positive. Steal from the rich, give to the poor gives a philanthropic, positive reason for stealing. Pirates next are obviously outlaws, but they've been glorified in films so much and have a sense of wild adventure and drive to find treasure, which makes them seem larger than life and a little bit more positive than the next 3 words. Thief is in the middle as it has the most neutral connotation. There aren't really any positive connotations with this word, just the fact that the person has stolen something. But we don't have enough context to determine motivation, so it's kind of hanging out before kleptomaniac and bandit. These are our last 2 words. Kleptomaniac implies a repeated behavior that's frowned upon in the eyes of society. There's the root of mania in the word, which might make someone decide as more positive, as a person doesn't have a lot of control over this behavior. Finally, we have bandits, which for me has a connotation of being an outlaw, of relishing the illegal behavior that is for personal gain or to hurt others. Next, I want you to think about the differences between the objective meaning and the implied meaning in the words on your screen. Pause this video for a moment if you need to. Drug addict versus druggie. Disabled versus differently able. Mentally ill versus lunatic. Journalist versus newshound. Photographers versus paparazzi. Ghost versus spirit. Skinny versus lean. Muscular versus ripped. Woman versus chick. Did any of these stand out to you as extremely positive or negative? Did any of them seem more neutral? For me, when I think of a photographer, I think of a bubbly professional behind a lens, taking pictures of a family standing in a field of sunflowers for their annual family picture. Maybe they're making kids giggle by telling jokes in order to get the best shots of their newly missing front tooth smiles. But when I think about paparazzi, I see images of Princess Diana circa the 1990s being harassed by a swarm of men with flashing Nikons stuck in her face, and she's unable to get away. These are not at all the same. I've associated different emotions with each of these words, even though their denotative meanings are very similar. One is far more positive than the other to me. These associations come from my own personal context. If you've had a bad experience with a family photographer, you might not have the same association to this word that I do. Moving on, what is the connotative meaning in literature? It is the use of feelings, emotions, and implied meaning of a word to create a response in the reader. Authors usually use this as an emotional appeal to create a connection to the text and enrich the reading experience for the reader. Some famous examples of connotative language in literature include I Hear America Singing by Walt Whitman. In his poem, Whitman uses a variety of titles for skilled laborers to represent the hardworking and industrious spirit of Americans. Whitman understands his audience is likely to feel similarly to him about the characteristics of Americans and uses these words to evoke the patriotic emotions associated with them. An example of this from Hamlet by William Shakespeare is the line, "Get thee to a nunnery." Oh, poor William. Talk about a punchy line that gets overlooked by thousands of high schoolers every year. Hamlet says this line to Ophelia in a scene where he is growing increasingly exasperated with her. And as an aside, I would argue that Hamlet is exasperated like 90% of the time during the play, but that is a conversation for another time in another play. On the surface, this line doesn't seem as biting as it actually is. A nunnery is a place where women go to live and dedicate their lives to God. Seems pretty harmless, right? But in a convent, consider that a woman gives up her right to marriage. This in turn prevents her from having any influence over a man. And we know Ophelia certainly has a lot of influence over Hamlet's emotions. So you can see how his words have deeper connotations to them than just the surface level meaning. However, this goes to a deeper level when you consider that the connotation of a nunnery in Elizabethan England is a brothel. So in reality, this seemingly benign line is really a major diss. Having a clear definition of connotation versus denotation in literature and in writing can definitely help students use language and understand language in a more nuanced way. This can also help in life. For example, recently someone called me vanilla, and my first reaction was to consider connotations such as boring or bland or safe, definitely more of a negative connotation for me. But in reality, this person was actually using the word to comment on how innocent they thought I was. Definitely a difference in connotation. It's all a matter of perception, and considering multiple connotations to get at an author or a person's intent in real life is an important life and communication skill. In the classroom, challenge your writers to go back into their writer's notebooks and to select several words that might have different meanings based on connotations. Have them play around with swapping out words that would change the connotative meanings and then try sharing with a thought partner. You can also ask students to go back into their choice reading book or a novel study book and consider a word in context and then make a list of words the author could have used instead of that word and then analyze how that would have changed the meaning of the text. This is definitely the next level when it comes to analysis, considering what the author could have done but didn't do and the impact on meaning. but it's a level that students definitely can get to. It makes their writing and their thinking more sophisticated. I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope that you found this content useful. There are so many different ways to get students to start thinking about connotative meaning in literature or just in life, things that they watch on TV, things that they hear in conversation, and it definitely leads to productive dialogue in the classroom. So leave me a comment below. How do you see yourself using this in your classroom? What are you thinking about? I would love to hear it. And of course, don't forget to hit subscribe, like the video, hit the bell notifications so that you can make sure to catch me in the next video. I'll see you next time.